welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today I'm going to be watching, reviewing, and reacting to Season 4, Episode 5 of The Expanse. So just a couple of quick housekeeping things before we get into the episode. First, I just want to extend a thank you to all of my patrons in particular, everyone on Patreon, but also all of my YouTube subscribers who have continued to stick around and wait out through a somewhat difficult period of a couple of months for me when I was not really able to do filming either at all or much at all. I know it can be frustrating, especially when you have shows you're excited about and you want to get more videos as soon as possible, so I do appreciate you sticking around and kind of helping me through the whole situation. I genuinely appreciate you guys still being here, and it's been a huge relief and help to me, so I just wanted to mention that quickly. And then a couple of things. So this currently is the last week of February, and starting next week going into March is when we're going to be officially getting into my new posting schedule, which will be up, posted itself very, very shortly. But if the Expanse is your major draw, what you're mostly interested in, Expanse videos will be going up on Tuesdays going forward. So Tuesdays will be Expanse Day, and then there will be other videos for the other shows will be posted on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, and that schedule will be going up. But just so you know, Tuesdays will be Expanse Days in the month of March. So, yay! And then one quick final housekeeping thing. After a long time of really having to do a lot of recuperation and spending most of my time in bed, I've got a lot of my desk set up, back up and running, and I'm hoping, like I'm not going to make any promises yet because you never know, but I'm hoping that next week, in the first week of March, that those video episodes, some of them will start to be back in the desk setting again. So keep your fingers crossed, hope for the best. I'm looking forward to that potentiality, so. Alright, let's not waste any more time. I'm looking forward to continuing this Expanse journey so far. Season 4 has been excellent. I've been thoroughly enjoying the ride, so let's get into it. Episode 5, here we go.
Careful. It's powerful stuff.
You said that remote even working?
I wired it myself. It will work.
Okay, this is a flashback. Yeah, because those guys are dead. So this is gonna be...
They're here. 10 hours early.
No, leave it!
We have to remove the charge. The drive will set it off.
Then it does.
At least blow it now before they land. Give them a chance to pull up.
Nah. Fucking you know that.
This isn't what we planned. I did not come here to kill people.
Okay, is what I say it is. Whatever happened, therefore.
Alright. So that makes sense then. So the plan was to just blow it up so they couldn't land in the first place. But they got there early.
Big surprise for landing, eh?
And so
They got it coming
end up
then.
actually getting caught in it. And so she was actively involved in that.
Loose, no!
Oh, so she actually saved most of them then. Because he was gonna wait and blow it up right when they landed.
Oh, the doctors knocked you
Shit.
out while I was packing your wounds.
Go easy.
Alright, that's
We're on the
interesting. Okay.
You got some deep tissue damage. That's the
That's
kind of thing that doesn't do too well in 0G, so.
I guess this means we made it.
Welcome to the Rocinante.
Unlock him.
Not gonna happen. Put the gun down.
Don't kill her. She just hasn't figured out her boss is a dick.
You stay out of it.
Hey, give me the key and walk away. There's no need to die over this shit.
Fuck that.
Captain Holden, you left before we could finish our talk.
Our
Cut
talk.
him loose. Do it now. We don't have time for your vendetta.
Vendetta.
The artifacts on this planet are waking up. The device my ship just blew up? would have wiped this settlement off the map. We need to get everyone off the surface before something even worse shows up.
You're saying we need to evacuate?
Yes, immediately.
Unlock him. Don't think I've forgotten that you're sheltering a murderer, but if you intend to evacuate everyone into orbit, then RCE will do whatever it can to aid your effort.
This isn't about your claim on the planet anymore.
I understand. You want to keep your people safe, and so do I.
He'll only help as long as evacuating the Belchers is easier than shooting them.
I know.
People act like I'm the bad guy here.
Well,
I came on a peaceful mission. These squatters drew first blood.
And you used it to justify
I
murder.
acted against terrorists who killed innocent people and were planning further acts of violence, but I'm the bad guy. You and your friend here assault me and my people, but I'm the bad guy. Maybe I just got that kind of face.
I'll make sure you get to tell your story in court at a murder trial.
the thing is,
One way or another, we all answer for what we've done.
he's technically right, but again,
Tell everyone
their
to pack.
interpretation
Are
of
we
him.
really leaving?
Well, only if the Belters leave too. Get everyone round up. This evacuation is real, but you and I better be the last two people on their shuttles.
Understood.
But yeah, their interpretation of him taking advantage of it
This is the Edward Israel.
is also
Go ahead,
correct.
sir.
Both light shuttles in working order.
Yes, sir.
Take the secondary one. Disable the safeties, rig it up for remote piloting, and put it on a proximity trigger.
You want me to make it into a bomb?
I want you to make it into an option.
Bruh,
Have the Belters broadcasting all
just-
these images?
No,
sort
ma'am.
of
RCE
defended
said
you.
the Edward
And
Israel
now you
was the
just
only
want to
ship recording
kill
it.
everybody.
I want these kept under wraps. The last thing I need is terror in the streets.
Marjorie.
Understood.
Let's...
You! I want to talk to you.
This isn't a great time.
I don't care.
You seem angry. At me?
Holden! I mean, Holden, you're keeping some serious secrets, and you know, you blew that thing up in front of her when she didn't want you to.
I've been going through everything that happened.
At
The
me?
bugs that showed up exactly when you did. The lightning, and the way you happened to be exactly where the lightning started. The underground structures. The digging machine. None of this happened until you showed up. And when I ask you about it, you deflect.
It's complicated.
Yes, exactly like that.
It's just...
Complicated. Need to know. None of my business. Enough of that shit. You are connected to this, and you are withholding information.
She's right.
But do not make me tell your daughter I had to let you die. Fucking tell me what to do! Sorry. Sorry. Where's that line, Naomi?
I'm working on it.
All right, you're still bleeding inside. How do I stop that?
Listen, the infusion's working. You just gotta stop the bleeding.
I can do this.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
you don't have to.
You're too low.
A little strange to have a member of the political aristocracy lecture me about connections.
Ooh!
Tonight's the first time she's ever interviewed for a job.
Oh shit.
But she's right. My parents had friends who helped me get a lottery placement. My opponent has asked what happened to the person whose place I took. George, would you stand up, please? George Cantor was my first alternate. When I got my appointment at the regional government, I hired George to work with my policy research team. He now runs it. My second alternate was a woman named Lee Fan. She has become my top security consultant.
Ooh.
My third alternate was Christoph Heimer. Sadly, he died of an overdose and never got off the rolls. George and Fan would both have had to fail for him to get a chance. Because that's the lie, isn't it? 6,000 people fight for one slot. And we say anyone can make it, any one of those 6,000. Not 2, not 10. Certainly not everyone. We all know the system's broken. We all just want a chance. We aren't afraid to work hard. We aren't afraid to take risks. And with 1,300 new solar systems, we can provide that opportunity for everyone, not just the colonists, workers, and farmers and engineers. The people of Earth have talent and drive and ambition. What we need, what we deserve, is a government that gives us a chance.
Security underground. Please
come with us right away.
Until further notice. Alert de sécurité.
Archangel secured. Exiting now.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Can you not see where I am?
We are gone. They were killed.
This person in your head that no one else can see told you that.
I had a vision when I was inside the ring station.
Oh, the ghost didn't tell you, but the vision did. I can see why you didn't tell anyone.
I saw a record of the old civilization dying, and I think I saw what killed them all. I've had glimpses during the ring transits.
Is there any way to test this information? Because anyone can claim to have prophetic visions, but that doesn't mean...
Cat's been right about everything so far. That thing in his head is giving him answers.
Or he's just a crazy person with a few lucky guesses.
I believe whatever I'm in contact with is turning on all the old technology here to try and understand what happened to its creators, and I don't think it's going to stop. I'm not even sure it can stop.
You're saying these alien artifacts are responding to something that you're doing. Is there any way we can use that to control them?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. If we leave here, we can't go to some other system and find a lithium deposit like this. Maybe you did make it worse, but this place is our only hope. We're not giving it up.
What happens if you leave? If you're in contact with it, why don't you just go?
I have no reason to believe it'll stop once I'm gone.
There is no version of this where we abandon our charter and we leave these squatters and murderers in possession of this planet.
You're nothing but thieves. You came...
Oh my God.
Well, that doesn't sound good. There's some sort of like nuclear level explosion just happened. Oh my God. Alex is right. Alex's reaction is correct as usual. Alright. Alrighty. Well, that was episode 5. Leaving us with another, as per usual, kind of cliffhanger situation where we have no clue about what. It looked like how you would see a sort of nuclear explosion portrayed. Certainly an explosion with a tremendous amount of force and seemingly heat. Yeah, I don't know. We had, earlier in the episode, we had the scientists talking about how they were seeing some unusual activity and they were hoping for any sort of information the Rossi could send them to explain what was going on. I think he said it seemed like volcanic activity on a planet with no volcanoes, so I guess, I mean, that could be some sort of volcanic situation that just happened. Regardless, we know it's tied to the protomolecule tech and everything else. And of course, right when Holden is trying to do the right thing and explain everything he knows to everybody there so that he hopefully can convince them of the extreme danger they're in so that they leave, and they're all laughing at him, basically, this happens. Yeah. I suppose it's probably, in some ways, good that something more is happening, something concrete that can kind of, sort of back up some of what Holden is saying and emphasize the danger, so hopefully people will be more willing to evacuate. But at the same time, we don't know what actually is going to happen to all of them or how close to them that explosion is, so we could be in for some very unpleasant circumstances in the future going forward. Not to mention that we know that even if they were to agree to go through the evacuation process, which it seems like it's going to be difficult to get them to that point based on what everyone was just saying there with Holden, Murtry is apparently planning on just killing all the Belters and blowing them up anyway, or at least, it's a contingency, but yeah, okay. Based on what we know of him so far, that's a contingency that he'd probably take any split-second incident as an opportunity to jump on executing, so we'll see. So yeah, so more crazy planet happenings going on. It's difficult because, it seemed so perfect and sensible when Holden was having that conversation with Naomi. I was even saying as it was going through, so just explain to everyone everything that you know about the risk, about the protomolecule, about what exactly is happening, and so they have a more concrete understanding of the real danger that they could potentially be in. Just tell them what you know and give them the chance to make the choice for themselves. It seemed so rational and perfect, and, Naomi exactly said what I said, confirmed my point of view, and I was, yay, let's do this. But then as soon as he opened his mouth and started talking about it, it was obvious, the flaw in this great plan is that it all sounds absolutely insane, and that there's nothing necessarily to back it up other than Amos standing there saying, oh yeah, well, he's been right about everything so far. I mean, it just goes back to what happened at the end of the last season, right? He had this information, what he had learned, what he'd seen in his visions, what Miller had said to him. And yet, Ashford was like, well, you just sound like a crazy person. I'm supposed to believe the word of some supposed ghost that could just be a hallucination in your head, where all of our lives are on the line? No. And so you had a situation where Ashford was doing what he 100% thought was right, and you couldn't really blame him. And that's why, at this point in time, Drummer and Ashford were easily able to put their differences aside, it seems, and come back together in this season to continue to work for the good of the belt, because they were aware that even though they were on different sides, they were both doing the right thing, and they both had reasons for, choosing the path they did. And so now we're in this similar situation where, of course, it makes reasonable sense to say, Holden, tell everyone what you know, give them the concrete information so they can make the choice for themselves. But are they really making the choice for themselves if they just think that he's a nut job and they can't believe that what he's saying could possibly be true? I don't know if there was a better way to go about it. Maybe a smarter, more politically savvy sort of negotiator individual could have said something more compelling that people would have been more willing to believe. I don't know. Maybe he could have said something along the lines of without saying that all this information came from a vision or the remnants of Miller that was implanted in his brain somehow through the protomolecule. Maybe instead of that, if he just said it in a more kind of straightforward way, like, this is what we know, that the builders were out here and that their civilization collapsed at some point in time, but this is the remnants of the protomolecule, and we can tell you that this is what's left on this planet is waking up in ways that we cannot foresee, but that could be extremely dangerous, and that we can't control. I don't know, maybe something along those lines without emphasizing the whole Ghost Miller aspect of it or the visions of it. I don't know. But at the same time, you wouldn't want him to necessarily hide that, especially with certain individuals. I feel like maybe in that huge group space, if he had just spoke of it more definitively without including the Miller talk, and then maybe if he went back and spoke to say maybe the doctor and Murtry, a couple of others, and tried to explain everything in more detail, maybe they still would have thought he was crazy, but maybe there would have been more public support for leaving if you just emphasize the danger and the Eros connection and the protomolecule aspect as opposed to, making yourself sound crazy. I don't know. It's difficult because, again, you want him to be as straightforward, as honest as possible, both so that people can make their own choices, as Naomi was saying, but also so everyone can have as much information as possible, because you never know when this whole Miller thing is going to become relevant down the line, or Holden's kind of connection to him is going to become relevant. So it's good to give people as much information as possible in that regard, but at the same time, if you're trying to be persuasive, you maybe got to be a little bit more of a politician about it. And Holden's not great at that aspect of things, I have to say. But yeah, so now we're in a situation where it seems like he was hoping the information he conveyed would convince people to make the choice to leave voluntarily, but instead it seems that he's just convinced everyone else to dig in even more. So we'll see if whatever actually is physically happening on the planet will have more of an impact than his words, or if it'll confirm his words in some way and maybe bring them more on board. So I guess that's what we'll be seeing going forward with that. So other than that, you know, it seemed a lot of this episode was focused on a couple of things. One was that because we were very much geared towards the situation there on the planet, as opposed to the previous episode, which went back and forth between everywhere. You know, we had no Mars here, we had no none of the belt situation with Drummer and Ashford, none of that. It was really just the concrete, you know, on the Rossi, on the surface of the planet, that storyline, and then occasionally cutting back to Avasarala on Earth. So we were largely focused on what was happening there on the surface, which I've discussed, and then everything going on with Lucia. We got some more of her backstory about exactly what happened and kind of the aftermath of that. And it was a good opportunity to tie that into more about, you know, Naomi's feelings about her own past, which ties back to Marco, who we've been seeing this season. And then, of course, the actual, you know, political situation, the debates and everything happening on Earth, that ties into the concept of colonizing generally. Yeah. So the Lucia stuff was interesting. I think this episode being so largely focused on her really, again, kind of highlights the idea that she's another one of those central characters for this season, somebody who's being added to the group in a way, and we'll see if she's going to be somebody that continues going forward, like Bobby, who comes in later but then becomes central, or like Drummer, or if she's just more of a temporary addition, but she seems like an interesting character so far. I'm curious to find out what exactly is going to happen with her daughter. You know, we saw earlier in the season that her daughter had kind of like an I don't know how to put this. Kind of was idolizing Naomi almost as this grand figure representing a belter who had gotten out and done these extraordinary things, and she herself wanted to go off to university and then learn and do that sort of thing, but she felt like she was trapped, so there was conflict in that familial situation. And now, of course, the daughter is missing, so we don't know what exactly is happening there. But then, again, the Lucia kind of there emphasizing the situation with Naomi as well as another example of how people who are put into these situations where they feel completely powerless and desperate will sometimes make foolish choices without the intention of causing real harm to other individuals, but that will still be the consequence. And kind of the emotional and psychological toll that can take on a person to the point where she is wishing to just die rather than live with the burden of the people that she feels partially responsible for killing, live with the burden of bringing this down upon the other colonists, the Belters, and especially her family, and even face her family going forward, kind of the shame that she's feeling. So I think it's a good way, a strong way of introducing this character who could potentially be important, and also I think a good way of really hammering home the things that Naomi had to live through and survive, both before we met her and then as she's, you know, grown with us over the course of the show, because I think they're gonna maybe bring that back as being more significant later if she's, say, reunited with Marco, or if we have more Marco stuff going on, or if her son comes into play, you know, that could all come back as being very significant for her again. So both a good way of introing a new character, and then a good way of building some important kind of emotional context for Naomi possibly in the future also. So that was a central part of this episode. I thought they did a really good job with it. And then kind of the more political aspect of it, and I thought they did a really good job of showing both sides of this as well, would be with everything that happened back on Earth and the debate. So I was very impressed with, what's her name? Is it Nancy? Avasarala's opponent there, how she was able to turn that situation around, that Avasarala had previously gone along with the idea of leaking the news that she had kind of cheated and jumped the line in order to get a position. We know the context on Earth is a situation where a huge number of people live their entire lives waiting on the rolls for the opportunity to either receive any sort of proper education or go on to receive any sort of career position, and they basically are just living, you know, on the streets waiting for the chance to be drawn up in this lottery, so to speak. And this is the situation for the majority of people on Earth. And why it was supposedly such a horrible scandal, so controversial for her to have jumped the line, is that it seemed as though she was cheating and taking something away from a number of other people who were in the same situation as her, and she had done something that was unfair in order to get into a position of power and comfort for herself. But, as she mentioned, you know, not everyone on Earth has to live with that sort of same situation. There is an aristocracy, there is a ruling class that doesn't have to worry about being a part of a lottery or ever going through that, because their parents and their grandparents were in positions of power and authority. They were wealthy people, people in high up positions in government or corporate owners. So they automatically are given the opportunity to go into these career fields and receive educations. So Avasarala is someone who, as she said, and this is honestly something I've never really put a lot of thought into, but is significant, is someone who never had to really apply for a job, who never had to worry about whether she would have a place, a position, a comfortable home, something, you know, to strive for going forward and fulfill her, fulfilling work, way to care for her family. Never had to worry about those things. And so, yes, she is a great, extraordinary woman who has made tremendous sacrifices and done a lot in order to protect the people of Earth, given up a lot in order to protect the people of Earth, done things that maybe not a lot of other people could have done, and really, it's crucial that she was in her position through some of the events that we've seen over the course of this series. But at the same time, for her to go and attack Nancy for skipping the line, so to speak, is a bit much. It's like saying somebody who was born into a position of extreme wealth is going to criticize someone born into extreme poverty that had maybe no hope of ever getting anywhere in life on their own in this luck draw system, for trying to find a slight way of cheating the system when the aristocracy's whole existence is basically cheating the system or being beyond it. So that shed some interesting light on that whole situation, and also to me shed some interesting light on her position and the colonist position about kind of going out into these other spaces regardless of the potential risk. You know, for Avasarala, she's mostly just thinking about, you know, Earth literally was almost destroyed. All of humanity could potentially be wiped out based on some of the horrific things that Holden has seen in these visions. So that's her primary concern. But she's not thinking about the idea of, well, as Earth currently is life actually worth living for a huge percentage of the population? And is the risk of death potentially worth taking in order to go out in to find these new worlds, to maybe actually give opportunities to people who otherwise will live and die without ever having them? and the significance for Earth as well. You know, a theme throughout the course of the entire show, when comparing, say, Earth versus the Belt, or Earth versus Mars in particular, has been the stagnation on Earth, because the people there are just kind of living in this intractable situation without really any sort of shared goals or purpose. Their only thing shared is, yes, we are Earth, and this kind of like perhaps superiority idea that would go along with it. But it's not like Martians, where up until everything with the ring gates, they had these very specific common goals, and everyone was working for the same purpose, and their whole being was caught up in this. Earth was nothing like this at all. And now it seems like for many people on Earth, this is the first time there's actually been the idea that there could be, that the people of Earth could have this shared common goal of going out into the universe and finding purpose for people who have had no options, nothing, for generations. Yeah, and so, I mean, the potential impact of that, and the idea of the few aristocrats who've been handed purpose, basically handed power, to turn around and say, oh no, we can't do this, we shouldn't do this because we're risking everything we have. I mean, that almost sounds ludicrous to people who feel like, okay, we're risking everything we have, fine, but we have nothing, so we're risking what you have. And that's what you have a problem with. I mean, to me, this was a pretty significant moment, at least to me, in terms of how I'm interpreting the situation. Because I feel like, and maybe I didn't really realize it that much, but up until this point, I feel like I was pretty firmly on board with the Avasarala's, you know, be cautious, maybe we don't want to be colonizing sort of mentality, for Earth at least, you know, but this, you know, really thinking about it, the way that things are and putting it in that context, for the majority of people on Earth, that's really making me pause and reflect on this quite a bit. So I think that was very well done, and it was a pretty significant message. And I'm really curious to see if that's going to have an impact on Avasarala, how she's going to feel going forward. And it really like makes me look at everything in new context. So when she had to blow up that ship at the end there, you know, she did the right thing, as far as I could tell, with the context that we have about the what's it called? They said Sojourner, the idea that it matches its signature, so it was most likely taken by pirates, by Belters who were using this for a terroristic purpose. So that message was probably a smokescreen. They at least couldn't take the risk that it wasn't. She did the right thing by blowing it up. But at the same time, then, when she's being criticized afterwards, the message is, well, if we had provided protection and support to that colony ship in the first place, instead of saying colonists are not allowed to go out there and just leaving them to their own fate, then we wouldn't have Belter pirates and terrorists killing our people on the ships, taking them over, and then weaponizing them against us. And yeah, that's there's some validity to that argument as well. So it's, yeah, so I have a lot to think about, I feel like, after this episode, which and it's interesting because that really the focus of the episode was not on Avasarala and Earth, but that's one of the things that is really taking up most of my thought process after this. That was pretty impactful to me. So, but overall, another very good episode, and again, very, very curious to see what's gonna happen on the planet now. Now that we have this massive seeming explosion, and how that's going to tie back into everything that's happening, and whether they're going to evacuate or not. So, all right, I think I'm going to wrap this up here, guys. As I said, next week we're going to be starting the March schedule, and so Tuesdays going forward is when I plan to have Expanse episodes up. So this one probably is going to be up on a weekend, and then I'm expecting the Expanse episode will be up on Tuesday, so that'll just be only a couple days in between episodes, so that'll be good. Yay! But alright, thank you so much for joining me today, and hopefully I will see you next time for episode 6. Bye!